Hi everyone, myself Radhika. I am an assistant professor in the Department of IT from Vienna VJIT. Today I am going to give a lecture on Python programming. Today I am going to start a first class introduction to Python programming. Before moving to the concepts of Python, so first we'll try to know what are the concepts that we are going to learn in present lecture. So first we are try to know what is Python, what are the applications of Python, and what are the features of the Python, where Python is used in the current companies and the industry, and we'll try to learn some of the basic requirements that need to write a Python code. So now we'll start with the concept. So what is Python? So Python is a high-level and interpreted programming language. So Python is called a high-level programming language because that it is designed to make it efficient for humans to read and write. And this language is very close to the natural language. And what are the things we have been used for the Python programming language? Those concepts are abstract, and where it is the complex things are hidden from the programmer. And Python is an interpreted programming language. So the Python code is read by the interpreter software line by line to convert into a bytecode. This bytecode can be used for any of the platform, so that the code can execute any platform irrespective of changing the Python code. So Python is easy to learn. So the Python is simple and syntax is simple and user friendly. Hence every programmer can learn and efficiently write the code, and it is so useful for the beginners friendly. And Python provides a simple syntax so that every programmer can easily learn it and write it. So he is an author of the Python programmer. So the name of the author is Godot van Rossum. So here the author started his journey in the 1980s and released the first version in 1991. Here the Python programming is regularly updated, and where new features are added and efficiently, where new modules been added and given a support. And here the Python initiated from the basic versions 2x and 3x. The latest version of the Python is 13.4. So now we'll see, as I said, a Python is simple and easy to learn and provides simple syntax. So we'll try to justify whether the Python is simple or easy to learn. So look at the first Python, a simple piece of code to know the differentiation between the Python and other programming languages. So I want to print a single statement in the output screen. So here we are using to print a statement in a Python, we use a print function, and we enclose a single statement here is hello. So the print function will print the hello and the output screen. We use a single line of code in the Python. Similarly, the same print statement printing the hello in the C language, where we have to write 3 to 5 lines of statement. So why C? We need to print a hello statement. In the C language, you use a printf function to print the hello statement, and all the statements must be enclosed in a main function. So the main function should return a value, and the printf function is enclosed in a header file called standard input output directory, and we have to print that statement. From using the print function, we have to include a preprocessor directory, that is standard input output directory. So for writing the print statement in the C language, it takes 3 to 5 lines. So when we compare with the other language, Java language, so we'll see how the program can be written to print a statement. So I want to use a println statement to print the hello statement. Here println is a function, and this function to call any function in the Java where it is associated with the object. Through objects only we can call the functions. So we have associated an object, that is an out object, to print that message onto the output screen. And here this out object is available in a class called system class. So when we want to print one statement, so we have to include system.out.println. Next, when you want to write this statement should be enclosed in a class or in a main method. So when since our piece of code is a small code, so we are calling the print function from the main method. So we have to call a main function, and the main function is not having any written value, so it is associating a void. Then every function should be called with an object, but main function can be called from any of the class, so it should, without object, the main function is invoked at runtime. So hence we include a keyword called static keyword. The main function can be called from any of the classes, so it should not be a private, so it should be public, so hence it is public. So the arguments for the main function is string arguments. So you can use these arguments for command line arguments to take the input and process it. So thus the main function, we have a public, static, void, main, and the arguments are string args. So the entire statement should be enclosed in a class called test. Thus, to write a single print statement, so we have to include 4 to 5 lines of code. So when you compare with the Python, C and Java, Python requires fewer lines of code compared to the C and Java. So where Java has a verbose coding, because we use any additional words instead of than the needed. So we'll see some other points which are different from the Python compared with the C and Java. So Python is a simple syntax. It provides simple syntax. C language has a complex syntax. We have seen just an example. To print a statement, it requires 5 to 6 lines of a code. And Java, it has a verbose syntax because it requires the words than the needed. So the Python is an interpreted programming language. So interpreter is a software that reads the code, Python code line by line, and converts into a bytecode. That bytecode can be used in any platform like Windows, Linux and Mac, because the platform here, in every platform, the interpreters are available so that the code can be portable, and without changing of the code can be executed. In the C language, so the code is compiled, the entire code is compiled at once. Next, in the Java language, part of the code is interpreted and part of the code is compiled. And coming to Python code, it has, as said, we have seen an example, so it has less code compared to the other languages. So C has a more code and Java is a more code. Then Python is beginner friendly because it has the basic feature, its simplicity and simple syntax. So every beginner can learn this Python, and compared to the C and Java. Next, Python is a dynamic typing. So here the Python programmer need not to declare a variable explicitly. So the Python data type is identified automatically at runtime. So hence that it is a dynamic typed. So example, so if we have generally in the C language, we used to write int a is equivalent to 10, whereas another variable, let's take an example, string name. So let's take a. So here in the C language, we initialize the value 10 to a variable a, and 10 is an int type. So VNR is the string. So here the string is initialized to the variable name and is saying the data type is string. So here in the Python, these data types are not required. Explicitly need not to specify. When the value is initialized to the variable a, it automatically decides the type. So in the C language, hence we call it a static typing, and the Java is also static type. So these are the comparisons of Python versus C versus Java. Coming to the next topic, features of Python. So what are the features the Python provides? The Python is easy to learn and write. So Python is simple, like human readable language, and it provides simple syntax. Hence the Python programmers can easy to learn it and can write the code. So the Python another feature is less code compared to the C and Java. And just now we have seen the example how the code varies, the number of lines from Python, C and Java. So Python uses less code compared to the C and Java. So next, Python is a platform independent language. So Python code can run on any platform, that is Windows, Linux and Mac. So without changing the source code, in this platform has any interpreter, the Python can run this code. So Python code can be a portable and a platform independent language. So Python provides another feature called large libraries available. Here, Python provides a large rich set of libraries and modules. Each module has a ready-made classes and the functions, and these functions can be used at any time when you want to use in the program. Let's take an example. So when you want to find the square root of a particular number, so when you want to write a code to find the square root of the number, so where you need to write the code from the scratch. So in the Python, where you have a function called square root, this function where it takes an argument the number, and to work this function we have to import math module. So we have to associate this math module and dot association math dot square root. So when we call this, then we have to include, I want to print the square of the number, right? So I like this. So it prints the square root of 25. Then it is returns the output 5. So this is the way. So it having a rich set of libraries where you can use those all libraries. Like you can have NumPy for performing a numerical operations, and where you have pandas for data manipulation and analysis, and where you have matplotlib, this is for visualizing the data. So these are the set of libraries where you can use a need of instead of writing manually. So the next is dynamically typed. So next is the dynamically typed. So as I said, Python programmer need not to explicitly declare a data type while initializing the variable. So here int a is equivalent to 10. So this int type is need not to be explicitly declared. So Python provides automatically a data type when the value is initialized to the variable at runtime. Hence, the Python is a dynamic typed. Python is an interpreted programming language. The Python uses an interpreter to interpret the code line by line, and it generates the bytecode that can be executed by Python virtual machine. So Python virtual machine is a runtime engine of interpreter. This Python virtual machine executes the Python code and converts into the machine language, and that machine instruction can be executed by a processor to generate the output. And with this, what are the uses of using the interpreter? So where increases the productivity, we can easier maintaining the code, and faster development of code. So these are the advantage where Python coding when we use an interpreter. So Python is an open source. So the Python software is freely available where you can download it and use it and modify it. So you can download the software from the official website and you can work on it, and you can modify the Python modules. So, and each time when the modules are modified and the new version has been released, and the new version can be upgraded, and that can be used by the programmers with the updates. Next, Python supports object-oriented programming approach to develop applications. It supports OOPS concepts like classes, objects, inheritance concepts, polymorphism. So using these concepts, we can build large applications. And where you can reuse the code. And we can also organize the data efficiently. So these are the advantage of using the OOPS concepts. So these are the major features of the Python. Next, applications of Python. Where the Python is used. The Python is used in web development and for creating the websites. So where the Python provides a framework like Danjo and Flask. So for implementing the web development, so provides Flask. These are the Python libraries used for creating the website and web applications. So here, what is the example of web application? So let's take an example as Instagram. Instagram is a mobile app, but it also uses any web app features where you can use for sending a message and posting a message. Next, Python is used in artificial intelligence. It also used in artificial intelligence. So the Python is used to create an intelligent systems, and it uses the Python libraries like PyTorch, TensorFlow. So using these libraries, it can able to build intelligent machines like chatbot and recommendation systems. So as you all know, the chatbot is a software where interact with the user, and it simulates like a human. It interacts with the user. So where user can query it and gets the answers and performs the task. So, and Python is also used in machine learning. So machine learning. So using Python, the machine learning creates a system that learns from data automatically, and it uses the libraries like NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib. And the example is detecting a spam mails, whether mail is a spam or not. So when coming to the, and Python also used in data science. So what is the data science? So data science is analyzes the data. Data science analyzes the data and creates any insights which helpful for identifying the trends, patterns, and future predictions. So this data science data science can be used for visualizing the data. So using the visualization, you can have a better understanding of the data rather than theoretical data. And here this data science is useful for large application, to build large applications. Next, and the Python is also used in game developments, like it is used for 2D games. For implementing the 2D games, it uses Pygame libraries. So it also, and Python is also used in image processing applications in medical. So here, the Python is used for analyzing the images like ultrasound images, histopathology images, and CT scans, and predicting the diseases like cancer, heart diseases, and various health diseases. And Python is also used to build the GUI applications And Python is used for console based application for developing the software. Like you can also, the Python is used for cybersecurity, if where analyzing the data and testing the data. Next, it also used in scientific and numerics, and it is also used in the business applications like e-commerce for recommendation systems, and it also used in audio and the video based applications. So these are the some of the applications of the Python where it is most useful in the current industry. Next, where is Python is used in the companies or the industry? So now the currently Python is used in the Google. It is used by Google for web crawling, and it is used in the Netflix, Yahoo, NASA, YouTube, and Uber, next Instagram, and Spotify. So these are the various companies where Python is used. Now we'll see what are the Python execution environments. So these are the set of things where you can write and run the Python code, where you can use a Python GUI like Python IDLE. You can use a Python command line and command prompts from Windows. You can use a Jupyter Notebook, this is a web-based application, and you can use a Google Colab and VS Code and PyCharm. So these are the various execution environment where Python program can be written and can run it. So how the Python code is executed? First step is where you have to write a Python code, and the Python code is interpreted by the interpret software line by line and convert into a bytecode. And this bytecode is read by the Python virtual machine line by line and generate a mission code. And the computer processor generates the output. So this is a small example, a piece of code of Python. So look at here. So I have given a is equivalent to 5. So I have not declared any data type for this a variable. I have initialized the 5 value to the variable a. So then I created one more variable and initialized the value 10 to the b. So I want to print a statement, print a plus b. So the output of this program is, so for performing the sum of two numbers, we need only the 3 lines of code. So no need of any header files, no need of any declaration of the data type, and this is the data is read by line, so that debugging will be easier and easy maintenance and fast development of code. Next, we'll look at some of the basic concepts of the Python. So first we'll start with the variable. So what is variable? A variable is a location where it stores the data values. The data can be of different forms. It can be integer, float, string, and boolean. So we need to define a variable name so that variable can store a particular data. So Python has no command for declaring the variable, just as now we have learned. So variable is created the moment the first you assign a value to it. Like, so when you assign a value 5 to the x, so it is initialized to the data type is int. So when you assign a value 10.6 to the variable y, it is decided the data type is float. So when you assign the value string value VNR to the variable name, it data type is decided as string. So this is the way the variables are created. Next, input and output functions. Here, so we have to perform any, when you want to perform any operation, we need data. So we can read the data from the input function from the keyboard. So after performing the operation, we want to see the result onto the output screen. So to print the result onto the output screen, we have a print function. So we can print in different ways so that the data can be represented according to the end user requirement. So we can use the output function in the 3 ways, so that the print function can be used in different forms: dot format function, percentile format function, comma format function. So what is dot format function? So dot format function is used to insert a value in the string. So percentile format is used to insert a value into the format specifier. Comma is to insert or print multiple values automatically. So we'll see a small example on this input and output functions. So look at a small example. Now to read the data from a keyboard, I need to use the input function. So I want to read a data from the keyboard. Input function. In the input function, I am giving a statement, enter your name. So it is I created a variable name is name. Okay. So next I want to take an age as an input. So I'm using an input function. I'm reading the age. So since the age is of int type, so we are converting that age to an int type. So why we are doing is, initially when we use an input function by default takes a string as an argument, and when you are doing here enter your age, the age is, let us say, if you say age is 60, so the age is input of enter your age is 60. This is treated as string, so we have to convert the string type to an int type. So that int type, the 60 value is stored in age. So the name is, let's take the name of the in is VNR. So I want to print it. So I have taken the data from the keyboard using an input function. When you want to read the string type, you can directly use an input function. When you want to read a specific type like int type, you have to convert that input into a respective type int. When you are taking let us take, if you are taking another variable float type data 20.5. I am reading the data through input function. Input of enter a number. So I am reading this. I have a string that is, so I'm reading 20.5. At that time, I have to convert float of, right? So now, so I want to print these values. So now I'm using one first method is dot format method. So how many variables I have? Two variables, name and age. So I'm using those two variables in the format function, name and age. So this is a dot format function. Dot format function insert the values into the string. This is the entire, we call it as a string. In this string, these values are placed in a specific placeholders. The name is placed in the my name is this first placeholder, and the age is placed in the second placeholder. Suppose if you change the format function with the different arguments, age and the name, so the age is stored in the first placeholder and the name is stored in the second placeholder. So this is the way the order matters. Next one, we'll look at the format specifier, the percentile format specifier. So using a percentile and using a name and age. So this is similar to in the older style of C language. So this percentile format places the data into the string in specified percentile placeholders. So string, that is a name, and D is a this S indicates a string and D is an integer type. Percentile F is a float type. So these are, we call it as different percentile formats. The next is comma separator. So the comma type. So just here the comma is used to print multiple values. So I want to print name and age, the different values that is separated by the comma. So it automatically gives the space. So it gives like this, name colon space VNR. So next, age, so 60. So this is the output. So this is the way we read the data from the keyboard using input function. We print the data to the output screen by using output function called print. Next, indentation in Python. So what is indentation in Python? So indentation means spaces at the beginning of the line. It can be spaces at the tabs at the beginning of the line that defines a block of code in Python. So in other languages, to define a block of code where you use braces. So when you look at in the other language, C language, so if you want to use while block, while condition, so where you use a braces to represent the block of code. So but in this Python programming language, we use a spaces or the tabs at the beginning of the line to represent the block of code. So once you look at this example, so we have started with the block 1 and then we have started a block 2, and then inside the block 2 we have used a block 3, and okay, so and the block 3 continues like this in the, this many lines, and the block 2 should also will be continued. So the block 2 will be is continuing in between of block 3 and block 2. So and the block 1 is in the same level. So if this is the case, so this is the, see the block 2 number of lines of code is different. So this is an error. So when you write the code like this, you'll get an indentation error. Unindent does not match any outer indentation. So this is correct, but this is wrong. This outer indentation is wrong. So how to correct this? So we have to do this. So we have started the block 1 and we have started block 2. Inside block 2 we have used a block 3 set of lines, and the same the starting and ending of block 2 should match it, and here also like this. So the block 1 and block 2, this set of lines should match it. So hence we follow the correct indentation. So we'll take a small example and we'll try to learn how the indentation works. Okay, this is small example. So I've used I created a variable a and initialized 2 and another variable with 3. I want to perform sum of two numbers. So I have given a statement sum is equivalent to a plus b. Then I want to print the sum. So look at here, I've given some space here and have written the print statement, print of sum. So when I run this code, it gives an indentation error. Since it is this code does not have any block, so but we have to follow the same sequence. Okay. So how we have to correct this program? A is equivalent to b, b is equivalent to 3, sum is equivalent to a plus b, and we have to write the same line print of sum. So this is the correct way of writing the code. So like this, if you write like this, giving a space and writing something is an error. It's an indentation error. So look at here. So when I run this code, I am getting there is an error in your program, unexpected indentation. So while writing the code, we have to follow the indentation. So some more examples on this. So look at the if decision making statement. So if condition or then expression. So the if statement checks this expression 5 is greater than 2. If at all it is true, the next block statement gets printed. So if condition is true, the block, so in the other language we used to write braces, but here we have to write the spaces. So here we have not given any space, directly I have written it. So it is an error. It shows an indentation error. How to correct it? So we have to write like this: if 5 is greater than 2, so this block, so I have used the spaces here, and this prints 5 is greater than 2. So this is the correct way of writing. So we'll see some other example. So I've used it, age is initialized with 18. So if age is greater than 18, so we have to print it as an eligible, else it should print not eligible. So I have used an age is 18. If age is greater than equivalent to 18, if the condition expression is true, it prints the block of if. So for observe this, so I have not used any braces, but I followed the same indentation for this block. So it prints eligible and prints you can vote. Okay, if at all the age is greater than is not equivalent to 18, okay, if it is less than 18, then else block gets printed. The else block, whatever you write the statement, it should follow the same indentation of if block. The same indentation of if block. So it prints not eligible. So this is the correct way of writing the Python code using the indentations. So we have also seen, let's take another example. I've initialized the variable a. I want to print it. So this is not a conditional statement or control statement, anything, but I want to print. So I've written a print statement by giving a space here. Okay, it is wrong. When you use a space, when you want to execute a block of code, so it's wrong. It gives an indentation error. So how to write it? A is equivalent to 2 in the same line. There is no block required here. So print of A. So this is a way of writing the code. Next we look at the other concept is comments. So comments are used to explain the Python code, or it can be used to describe the particular statement. So using the comments, it helps to make the program more readable. So to represent the comments, where we use the symbol called hash symbol. Okay, so when you use the symbol, okay, example here, this hash, this is a Python program. This we call it as a comment. The comment can be described in any line or end of this statement. The Python and these statements are not executed. Okay, the interpreter will not execute this statement, will ignore it. So the comments can be placed at the end also. So this is represented for single line comments. Next, how to represent a multi-line comments. So we have how to represent multi-line comments. You can also use hash symbol for each line. Hi, hello, Python introduction. So you can represent the multi-line comments. Okay, else you can also, instead of writing multiple for each line a hash symbol, you can use a triple quotes at the starting and end with the triple quotes. So this is an example, start with the triple quotes and end with the triple quotes. So this is my first program. So I'm using a statement print hello. So you can also use a triple double quotes and triple single quotes. So the comments can be run using a hash symbol, or if you want to represent multi-line comments, either you can use triple quotes or triple single quotes. So this is the way of representing the comments. So the today's session, so we have learned the basic concepts of what is the need of Python, how the Python is helpful to write a code, and so why Python is most popular. So Python is most popular because the modern technologies like ML, artificial intelligence, and the data science requires fast and simple code. And Python is more powerful because of its simplicity, portable, and platform independent, and it supports modern technologies of all these. And Python also supports automation. So Python is not just a programming language, it's just a technology that powers the modern innovations. So these are the concepts of the introduction. So in the next class, we'll study some more other basic concepts. Thank you.
Like, share, comment, and subscribe VNR Digital Learning Resource YouTube channel.